Hello and welcome everyone. We have a major news alert in American politics right now, as you all may know. Joe Biden has officially announced his bid for re-election in 2024. Let's take a look at some 2024 polls between Biden and Trump now that we know they're the likely two nominees as of right now. And Joe Biden is 100% locked in to run again in 2024. It is confirmed. Right after we quickly view some of the polls from 538, I will predict the 2024 race between Biden and Trump, which is the likely outcome. And let's start off by looking at Joe Biden's approval rating. Okay, so Joe Biden has a current disapproval rating of 11%, as we can see right here. And if you don't count this month, his average rating is still around 10%, which is not much any different. So he is very disapproved of as president. So these previous months, he's still at 10%. In January, 10%. And November, he was disapproved by 12%. November, he was disapproved by 11%. And September, he was disapproved by 10%. And he was disapproved of in August by 16%. So they're all around, I would say they would average, I would say about 11%. So he's disapproved of by double digits. And majority of Americans that disapprove of Biden say the reason is he's disapproved of. The main issues he's disapproved of is on inflation. It has skyrocketed ever since he became president. 40-year high. The economy or his foreign policy. Now as for Donald Trump, let's take a look at Donald Trump's approval rating. Unfavorable by 13% as president, which is basically his disapproval rating. So meanwhile, on the other hand, the reason why Trump was disapproved of by at least half of America is not from the economy or foreign policy, because he was actually good on those issues, but by actually his personality and his handling of COVID-19, which ruined his chance at 2020. If you guys don't know this, I just want to say, when Democrats have unpopular approval ratings, it doesn't tend to hurt them as much as when Republican approval ratings are low. Low approval rating hurts the GOP more than it matters, or more than it hurts the Democrats, is what I'm trying to say. So low approval rating matters more to the GOP than Democrats. Is the message I'm trying to pull out. So now that we have some background, let's start my prediction for 2024, and I will be showing you guys some polls if states have put out some polls for 2024. So first, let's get started with the likely states for both candidates. Let's get them out the way quickly. I think Colorado, New Mexico, and Virginia will be likely for Joe Biden, so let's characterize those states likely. So, Trump couldn't win it in a favorable election back in 2016, which is why he won't win them in 2024. I think 2016 was the closest Trump could get in these states, and any Republican as of right now, as we know of. Now, the likely states for Trump would be Iowa and Ohio. So let's characterize those states likely for Donald Trump. So 2 likely states for Trump and 3 likely states for Joe Biden. So the only candidate that could perform better than Hillary Clinton and Obama in Iowa and Ohio would only be Barack Obama, because he's the only Democrat that actually won them. Only once. Ever since 2016, Iowa and Ohio both will forever be red for now. As if for now. And now on to the lean states. We just got the likely states out of the way. I think Minnesota, Michigan, and New Hampshire, all 3 of those states would all be lean for Joe Biden. So let's characterize those states lean for Biden. Minnesota, Michigan, and New Hampshire. So, from 2020, the Minnesota Republican Party has been struggling hard to win an election, and the closest it would get for the GOP was in 2016, where Clinton won it by 1%. I think that's the closest they can get. Otherwise, Minnesota has been trending blue. Same goes for Michigan. The Republican Party in both of these states, Minnesota and Michigan, is just a disaster. If we take a look at polls from Michigan in 2024, let's take a look at some polls from Michigan. Biden has an accurate lead from a decent poll by around 3%, which sounds right to me. But highly rated polls from Emerson College, if you scroll down right here, Emerson College, this is A-, folks. This is a highly rated poll. Donald Trump is up by 1 to 2%. I view Michigan as a very close state personally going into 2024, and I think we can all agree. But the Detroit area has been shifting to the left, so I would say Michigan is lean now for Joe Biden for now. On to the tilt states, I have just Florida and Texas lean for Trump for 2024. Let's characterize Texas and Florida both lean red for Donald Trump in 2024. And Democrats keep saying they could flip Texas in just one of these elections, but always seems to come up short. Every time a candidate says to take away guns from Texans or put on gun control in the state of Texas specifically alone, the state gets redder. So I think Texas will slightly reject Dems in 2024. And one example is back in the 2022 governor's election, or actually back in the 2020 Democratic debates, Beto O'Rourke said, hell yes, quote unquote, we will come after your guns. And that's why he got destroyed by Greg Abbott in 2022. He is also well liked as well by comfortably defeating Beto O'Rourke, like I just mentioned. Although I do think immigration is the main reason why Texas is slowly shifting to the left, which is very true, it is. Slowly, by the way. Over time, it could possibly flip blue, which is why the reason why Democrats think they could flip it, but they always seem to fail at it. But for Florida, we all know how red the state has gone. I don't even need to discuss it. DeSantis did very well in the Miami area, won by, I believe, about 20%. His first time around, he won by 2%. Second time, he won by 20%. That is 18% more. As well in 2022, it's just going to get redder and redder every single year. Florida is a done deal for Democrats. I can guarantee you that right now. And now finally, we have the tilt states. I have Joe Biden winning one tilt state margin, and that is his home state of Pennsylvania. So let's characterize Pennsylvania as tilt D for Biden. I think it is very, very toss-up-y. And let's take a look at some polls for Biden in the state of Pennsylvania for 2024. 4 polls for Pennsylvania are out, and a good amount indicate a Biden victory of around 4% on average. But an A- poll from Emerson College, as you can see on the screen at the very bottom, shows actually an even 44% for Trump and Biden. As we can tell, a lot of polls, even the higher rated with more trust polls, have very mixed feelings for who would win. I give the slight edge to Biden by about 1 percentage point. For right now, I think Pennsylvania would be closer than in 2020, but still narrowly goes to Biden by around 1 percentage point. And lastly, we have 5 tilt states for Donald Trump. And we have new polls out from North Carolina for 2024. But before we look at the North Carolina polls, I guarantee you North Carolina will be 100% competitive, as it always has been for the last couple of decades now, and Trump will win it by just around 1 percentage point. Now, let's take a look at the polls, and let's characterize North Carolina tilt R. I think it can definitely go either way, don't get me wrong. North Carolina for 2024 that are A+ ratings and Republican funded at the same time are saying Biden will win North Carolina by about 2%. A+ ratings and the Republican funded highly rated polls are indicating a Biden victory in North Carolina. That is very scary for whoever the Republican nominee is, in particular Trump. I think the polls from North Carolina is a very scary one for Trump, but I think it could possibly be wrong. I guarantee you North Carolina will be 100% competitive, as it always, like I just mentioned, but I think Trump's going to win it by 1%. But most polls for now, back from November of 2022, have Trump winning. The most accurate, I would say, has it for Trump, even with Biden or Trump plus 3. So here's what I think for Georgia. The Atlanta suburbs in the state of Georgia are trending blue, and if Democrats get the African American turnout to be high like it was in 2020, it could possibly go blue by the slightest. But for now, I characterize Georgia red by a little bit under 1%. Hear me out, a little bit under 1%. That is close. As we get closer to 2024, I think it's going to be somewhat close like it was in 2020. I may say otherwise. As we get closer to 2024, I may say otherwise. This is obviously not an official prediction. Trump winning Georgia is not official prediction for me. As we get closer to 2024, I could possibly say otherwise. But for now, I would say Trump under 1% in the state of Georgia. Now, moving on to the last and final 2 states. As for Arizona, though, the most accurate poll I would consider So the most accurate poll I could consider is a one from April, has Biden up by 1%. This is a very new poll. The most newest poll has Biden up by 1%, which is very highly rated. As we all know, it was only blue by 0.2 in 2020, which is not a large margin at all, which is why I also have Trump winning it by just around under 1%. A lot of these tilt states will be coming in with under 1% for whoever the winner is, even though it is shifting blue, which is the truth. It is. Arizona is one of those states that have the John McCain style of voters that are not fans of Trump. The Arizona Republican Party loves neocons, which is what Republicans call them. I think if Trump can get those neocon McCain voters to vote for him, he could slightly win it, but it still will be close, no doubt. The McCain-style voters, a lot of them have turned for Joe Biden in 2020, which is the main reason why Joe Biden won it by 0.2%. If Trump can get back those McCain-style of Republican voters, which is so-called neocons, which is what Republicans call them, I think Trump can win it, Arizona, by the slightest if he can get those McCain-style voters to vote for him. And lastly, for the final state, by the way, is Nevada. Let's fill out Arizona tiltly for Trump. And now, Nevada, I think the two most accurate polls for Biden in the state of Nevada have Biden up 1% and Trump up 1%. And which in my mind is split even between the two. I think in 2024 Nevada will either be complete toss up, and whoever wins it, whether it's Biden or Trump or someone else, would win it by under 1%. I guarantee you, no matter who the winner is in Nevada, whether it's Trump or Biden, that candidate of the winner of Nevada is going to win it by under 1%. That's how close I think it will be. Very well toss up. And I think Trump takes the slight win in a hard-fought race in the state of Nevada. All of Nevada, basically, except for the Vegas area, will vote red. So let's characterize Nevada tiltly for Donald Trump. I actually forgot one state, which is the state of Wisconsin. These are Wisconsin polls. Emerson College, both have Biden up by 1%. A-, highly rated polls. I'm going to be taking my educated guess from Emerson College when it comes to the state of Wisconsin. They both have Biden up by 1%. But, obviously, I think Donald Trump is going to carry the state of Wisconsin and also the state of Maine. I forgot to characterize that as well. Maine will be lean for Donald Trump, and Wisconsin will be tilt for Donald Trump. 278 for Donald Trump, 260 for Joe Biden. I think if Donald Trump can win out the independent support in the state of Wisconsin, which is one thing he lacked turnout for. He lacked the independent supporters in Wisconsin back in 2020, which is the main reason why he barely lost it. By the way, keep in mind, he barely lost it, which is why it could very well go to him. If he can get the independent support or any of the voters that he won in 2016 but lost in 2020, if he can get the voters that voted for him in 2016 but did not vote for him in 2020, if he can get those voters, then he could possibly beat Joe Biden in Wisconsin. So let me know if you guys agree with the margins, 278, 260, and which is a very close race. I think 2024 will be very close because both of these presidents are very unfavored. You have two unfavored presidents, and both of them are very old, especially Joe Biden, the oldest president. So, I mean, you have what can I say, guys? You have the two most oldest presidents in history, the two most unfavorable presidents going at it against each other. That shows you right there that this election is going to be very close and maybe not the highest turnout. I know they had the highest turnout in 2020, but maybe not in 2024. I think just because of COVID, that's how they got the high turnout. So I don't think they're going to get as much as high turnout in 2020. So thank you all for watching. This is now the end of the video. Let me know if you all want a 2024 race, but instead of my prediction based off